Getting Over It at first glance looks like a game that is meant to make you rage, which of course it is, with its odd controls and seemingly impossible stages. In this game, a simple mistake could send you back pretty far. So of course, I wanted to give myself the challenge to speedrun it as fast as I could in only 24 hours. It turns out that after you get past learning the basic movement, Getting Over It is surprisingly a fun game to speedrun. You start out the game by protruding from your cauldron and you have to figure out how to use your awkward sledgehammer to get over this simple tree. After figuring out how to use your character, you're presented with a huge mountain you have to overcome by using two basic mechanics. The first are windmill jumps, which can be used to move yourself horizontally or to swing yourself vertically. And then we have pogo jumps, which are used to launch yourself vertically to reach higher up. You use these to get yourself up to this chimney. This chimney was one of my least favorite parts of the run. Throughout all my tries, I struggled to get past this because it's such a slim area to get up through. It would take me a couple attempts, and more often than not, it gave me a time loss for each run. After hoisting yourself up, you have to scale vertically up this wall. At first, this was a real challenge for me, though I eventually learned, through trial and error, being patient and waiting to hook my sledgehammer at just the right moment worked best to get me to the top. After that, we shimmy ourselves over here, and we are presented with the option of slide skip, which I'll tell you about later. But for my first run, I decided not to get too fancy and go up the slide the normal way, making my way towards the boxes, up this ladder, and up past the furniture area. We are then presented with the orange. This is a make or break point in the run. You have to risk everything you have gained to progress here by launching yourself off the cliff, hooking your hammer into the rock, and save yourself from falling. This is a nightmare for most casual players. Most have to take multiple attempts to get past this part. After getting on the rock, you can pogo up to the other rocks above and launch yourself up to the church. After doing some simple navigation, you get to the hat jump. This part can be a little tricky because you need to get just the right angle to launch yourself up to the cliff's edge and pull yourself up. Following that, you're presented with the anvil, which you use to get up to the floating rocks. These rocks have ended a lot of my runs. You have to accurately fling yourself from one rock to the next, risking losing progress each time. After defeating the floating rocks, you have to get past the bucket. For this part, you have to skillfully launch yourself up and hook the bucket, trying not to make it move. There is also one other risk with this area: the infamous snake. The snake makes you reset your whole run if you accidentally hook onto it, so I made sure to steer clear of the snake. After getting up past the bucket, you have to navigate up the snow hill. This part is tricky because your hammer will only grip on some parts of the hill. All other parts of the hill will make your hammer slip and make it difficult to ascend. Now finally, after getting past all of the other stages, you are presented with the final challenge, the tower. You have to get up the tower by pulling and launching yourself off of the radar dishes on the outside, and once you get to the top, you can launch yourself into space. After doing some navigating past the asteroids above, you reach the end. And just like that, I finished my first run with a time of 32 minutes and 30 seconds. Not terrible for my first run, but definitely not speedrunning material. I quickly started my next couple runs, eager to improve my time. My next runs were just getting familiar with the route and getting up the chimney relatively quickly, and still trying to figure out the best way to get up. Remember earlier when I said we could do slide skip? Well, I took the next couple runs to try and learn to do it the best I could. Basically, you hook your hammer by this radar dish and try to swing yourself up to the ladder above, skipping the slide and boxes, which can be a huge time save. I was slowly getting more and more consistent with my runs. My second run, even though I got stuck at slide skip and the tower, I was able to shave off 8 minutes from my first time, which gave me a time of 22:19. My next two runs, I swiftly followed with back-to-back sub-18-minute runs. Slowly but surely, I was getting faster and faster. After 4 runs straight, I decided to take a quick mental break. I went and cleared my head, got some food, then prepared to get right back into it. But before I do, just a quick little reminder. This is my first YouTube video I've put a lot of effort into making, so if y'all think it's entertaining, let me know in the comments and by leaving a like. Thanks! My first run after my break, I got past the chimney in under 2 minutes, got to the orange by 4, and got up the anvil in just over 5 minutes. This was looking like a huge PB, but sadly, the worst happened. I got stuck on the floating rocks for over 8 minutes. I just kept falling and falling and falling. My fifth run ended in just under 18 minutes. More determined than ever, I went straight back into my next run, which was looking promising. It was going relatively smoothly. I got to the snow hill by minute 9. I proceeded to spend another 7 minutes stuck on the snow hill. I would get so close to the top and then just slip off. My sixth run ended, yet again, right under 18 minutes. But then came my seventh run. I started out at a really good pace, launching myself up the mountain faster than usual. I managed to get up through the chimney in 2 attempts, which is really good. But sadly, I ended up falling at the orange, which I didn't mind too much because I knew I could save a ton of time in the second half of the run. So I climbed back up, this time making sure I was extra careful on the boulders. After getting up to the church, I nailed the hat, flying boulders, and bucket all on my first or second attempt. From there, I flew up to the tower and launched myself into space for a final time of 9:17. My first sub 10-minute run was only 7 full runs in. I was excited, but I knew I could do so much better. I fell in so many places that I was sure I could get a way better time. At this point, I decided to take another break as my mental strength was weakened from playing hours and hours of getting over it. Following my second break, nothing that special happened. I got an 11:18, followed by a 10:36, and right after a PB of 9:26. I was getting consistent, but I kept making simple mistakes, so after a couple more runs and a ton of resets, I decided to give it one final attempt. I started out my final try, and I got up the mountain with blazing speed. I was able to get up the chimney on my first try, and I got slide skip on one of my first attempts. Then came the orange. I fiercely launched myself out and hooked onto the rock. I was determined to keep up my speed, so I recklessly tried to fly up to the boulder, which I paid for by slipping not once, not twice, but 3 times. Thankfully, after going a little bit slower and taking my time, I finally reached the church. Then came the hat jump. I struggled a little bit getting up. Yet again, I kept trying to speed ahead instead of taking my time. So after a couple attempts and a little bit of patience, I got up. Surprisingly, I had managed to get to the anvil by 4 minutes. After I realized the pace I was going at, I took my time on the floating rocks, making sure I didn't fall and lose more time. I ended up failing the bucket twice before I got it. And by some miracle, I was able to get up the snow hill on my first try, which is something I had not done before. Now all I had to do was finish the run and get up the tower, fly up through space, and claim my final time of 6 minutes and 59 seconds. Even though I messed up at a couple parts of the run, I was still able to get a sub 7-minute run in under 24 hours. And just like that, we finished the challenge. I beat getting over it more than 15 times in one day, and I was able to cut off 25 minutes from my original first run. I'm going to try and upload more videos like this in the future. I really had a fun time filming and editing all of it, even though it took a while. I'd like to thank all that watched this video, and I wish everyone the best going into 2022. Thanks for watching.